Good afternoon or good morning. This is Steve with Real Progressives. I want to talk to you about our sensibilities as progressives and the things that we supposedly say that we really care about. The things that we say drive our activism. The things we say drive the focus of our movement. When I see people tell me that they are angry at the United States government bombing people around the world, I take them at their word. I trust that when they say that they mean what they say. How you doing, Emil? When I hear people tell me that they really hate seeing dead bodies all over the planet based on drone strikes and based on bombing campaigns, when I see people say that they want to see an anti-war movement come up, and then I see them say that the reason why they are so hell-bent on stopping wars because they don't want to see all these people die. They don't want to see people die. And they tell me that, the military-industrial complex is this evil thing, and it is. And they tell me that they want to see us really become an anti-war movement. And I say, I agree with you. It's not a problem at all. Totally on board with you. And then I say, well, I don't like seeing dead people either. Dead people really bother me, man. I've got this thing about people dying, especially unnecessarily. And so I look around and I say to myself, well, what else is killing people? What are the things that we as a movement should be hell-bent and standing against, period, at all times? And I always come back and I say austerity kills people all over the globe more than any other thing. Based in lies, based in deceit, austerity kills people all over the world. Austerity is the silent killer. Austerity, cutting public spending, cutting the spending on health care, cutting the spending on needed programs that save the poor from destitution, that prevent buildings like Grenfell Towers in the UK from being modernized and taken care of. They allow austerity to kill people by the thousands, if not millions. The problem is that when you talk about austerity as a lethal instrument of war, people can't see that because they only think about bombs. They only think about the military-industrial complex. They only think about drone strikes. And that you can get as angry as you want, and the progressive community will not fight back. They will say, good going, Steve. Way to go. Way to fight against the military-industrial complex. They will pat me on the back. They'll applaud. They'll say, one love, brother. One love. I'm right there with you, Steve, man. Down with the military-industrial complex, Steve. But then when I tell them that more people die from austerity, and I try to present the solution, horrible, evil, sick people come out and say that I'm a cult leader. Come out and say that we're preaching a cult message. And I say, well, wait a minute. A couple minutes ago, we were all homies. We were like flashing gang symbols, sharing each other's colors, swapping jerseys, rolling in the word, man. All epic and stuff, And then I'm telling them, I'm like, do you understand that austerity is war against the 99%? Do you understand that austerity literally is war without declaring war? Do you understand that austerity is literally lethal to people? And they don't get it. They don't associate the two. They don't understand that more people die from austerity than any U.S. bombing raid ever. But when I talk about that, that's a cult. When people are upset about that, that's a cult. I find them to be worthless when they say that. I find them to be utterly despicable human beings, devoid of value, low on the food chain of IQ. And then they get mad at me because Steve's mad. Steve's angry. He's another angry white guy just saying angry white boy things. Why is Steve so angry? because I am offended by death, unnecessary death. And I'm offended by the people that can't possibly be bothered to learn what austerity does to people. I am deeply offended by people that claim to be progressive, telling people that they should make better choices. I am disgusted by people in the progressive movement who claim to care about the poor, but yet sit there and want to end every possible corruption in all of humanity before we save one life. Do you know, honest to God, before the Federal Reserve existed, that there was banks that were sitting there saying, well, I don't take chase bucks, but I'll give you half the face value for them there things. And they would sit there and they would do all this very, very unethical horse trading between IOUs, between banks that had no common currency. Well, you know, we don't like Billy very much, but we'll go ahead and take him off you for about a quarter of the face value. Yeah, what do you think about that there, Chauncey? I'll put my thumb on the scale for your gold. We're going to go ahead and give you a little bit less gold than you deserve there, sonny. Corruption has existed since the dawn of time, man. You're not going to end it by not saving people's lives. You're not going to end corruption by ignoring the fact that we can save them today. We can cease austerity today. And if that offends people, I am sorry. I am offended that you are offended. I am offended that you are offended. I am offended that you are so shallow that you don't even fill a thimble with your knowledge about this stuff. That's what I'm offended about. I'm offended that you're thimble deep. That your macro view extends only to your own backyard because you don't think it through. I am offended by you short-circuiting the process. I'm offended by you not prioritizing lives just because they don't end at the end of a bomb. I'm disgusted that you don't value people getting their teeth fixed because you're still caught up in bullshit. I'm offended that you are offended. That's what I'm offended for. I'm offended that people in our movement are so gentle and so sacred and so scared and so pained out when somebody gets angry that people are dying from austerity. I am offended that they are so easily offended, so fragile, so porcelain-like, so easily triggered by the angry white guy. Oh, excuse me, cis angry white guy. Forgive me for not having a right to speak, motherfucker. I am done having to silence truth because it offends somebody. Because they're deeply wounded. They're deeply wounded because I'm angry that austerity is killing people. Oh, well, I think the debt matters. I want to talk about the debt. He doesn't think so. He's a cult leader. He's a cult leader. Holy shit, he's a cult leader. Everybody, oh my God. And let's go ahead like monkeys in the cage throwing shit at each other. He's a monkey. Oh my God, oh my God. At some point in time, being that way should be so ridiculously offensive. People should literally shame them out of existence for that kind of nonsense. Because people are literally dying. Some just complete and utter idiotic person had the nerve to ask me, hey, Steve, did you get those rotted ass nasty teeth fixed? Trying to be smart ass, trying to cut my legs out from under me. And I said, you know what? Nope, still haven't done it because people like you are blocking us from being able to get dental care for all because you're steeped in your conspiracies and your bullshit. And well, I don't understand how this knowledge can help us. So because you don't understand, you feel like you have to negate it, right? Because you're such a Sharpie, right? Because you feel it? You feel it? Is that what it is? At some point in time, my teeth, I hope, get fixed. But if not, I hope my children never get stuck with rotted teeth because we have fought the good fight and gotten dental care for all as well as Medicare for all. I want to see my children not have to sweat getting a cavity filled because we have figured out that it matters more to save lives and keep people healthy than it does to sit there and wax poetic about the Rothschilds. I'm hoping that people of merit step up and step out of the shadows and start smiting down these people that literally would kill you. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. There is a segment, there's a small sliver of segment of people out there that try to tone police. They're like, well, I don't think you should teach people by beating them over the head. I'm not teaching you right now. I'm an activist right now. You want to see me with my educator hat on? I'll do that when I'm in Kansas City with a presentation behind me, sitting there describing how things went. But right now, I'm in full-bore activist mode. My fist is in the air, and I'm ready to fight. Okay? So the real deal is that don't conflate being an educator with being an activist, because I am full-bore activist right now. You get the difference? When you want me to teach, I'll sit there and say, let's talk about this for a minute, guys. When people ask a legitimate question and there's no snark in it and they're not acting like an idiot, man, oh man, I tell you straight up, I will spend all day long teaching them as best I can. And if I don't know the answers, I will go hellbound to find it. Sometimes I learn things from the questions you ask because I don't know everything. I'm an activist. I'm not the economist. Even though I'd like to believe that I'm a little bit smarter about this shit than I was a few years back, I'm still not of the caliber of Ellis Winningham or Joe Firestone or these other folks out there like Stephanie. That's not who I am. I'm a guy that brings the experts to you, but I have enough knowledge to know that the death and destruction is completely unnecessary. And that is something you can have too. There's no reason for you to need to be an economist with credentials to show that people don't need to die. Okay? You don't need to be an economist to know that people don't need to die. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is a role here for the activist. For those people out there who want to be all prim and proper and tone police people. Okay? I got news for you. MMT does not belong in a little glass box in some museum there for your own enjoyment. MMT for me, and only for me maybe, is a means to saving lives. MMT, I don't care if it was called BBT or BLT. I don't care. For me, MMT, modern monetary theory, the accurate description of how federal financing works versus the freaking bullshit. This right here to me is merely a tool. It's a tool to save lives. Nothing more. Not one bit more. My rage is not at individuals unless they troll. You troll, you're going to get a taste of it. That's the deal. I'm sorry. That's how I roll. Okay? But when it comes down to saving lives, that, my friends, is here, deep inside. Deep inside. I thought that I did everything right. Folks, seriously, think about this for a minute. I was a drunk and a druggie. I told you guys this many times. I got my act cleaned up, got my life cleaned up, went back to school like crazy. Crazy. Took 22 credits, friggin' banged it around the world, sitting there friggin' humping books, reading. Got 2 master's degrees. Started a PhD. And lost a 20-year career, 17-year career. Couldn't find work because of the great financial crisis and a fucking stupid misdemeanor in 2002 that haunted my background forever. Took 10 years for my background to get clear for this one stupid minor possession of doobage charge. That's it. Doobage. A little teeny doobage. Got popped and there I am. Can't find a job. So here I am sitting there infinitely qualified. Got so much credentials, so many pieces of paper, so many letters next to my name. And I couldn't find work. Could not find work. It didn't make any sense to me. And then it dawned on me, here I am with a family that cares about me and loves me, has money to support me to some degree when these downturns hit. I survived things I should not have survived because of a loving family. Everybody does not have a loving family. Everybody doesn't have parents that took care of their business. Everybody doesn't have a family that got an equal shot. So what about them, right? What about them? And it hit me. Something ain't right. Something ain't right, man. This is going back to 2009. It finally hit me. 2009. What the hell is going on? What is going on is we live in a rigged neoliberal economy. And because of the wonderful forerunners of MMT that taught me the way and got me out of being a Paul bot, got me out of being an Alex Jones watcher, got me out of being a gold bug. Because of those folks, I was able to figure out and make sense of what happened. There is no reason that someone such as myself, who has so many goddamn credentials, and this, I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn here, I'm saying this for a reason. Someone who had as many credentials as I had, somebody who had as many opportunities as I had, and I couldn't make ends meet, my friends. Could not survive. How could an economy for the 99% be so brutal? How could it be so cruel? And I was a right-winger, my friends. I was a righty. And then the bells and lights went off, and I said, this is it. Oh, my God. And I started looking at the Bankruptcy Reform Act. They made it so that you and I cannot discharge most of our debts, that we could not discharge our student loans, that we were stuck and trapped in these boxes. And I started realizing how rigged the economy really was. Once you find out how rigged it really is, and how many barriers they put in front of you, and then they scold you with all kinds of stuff like you should have done better, you should have made better choices. Finger wagging. Who are you to wag your finger? You must have been out your head. Eyeball deep in muddy water. You practically raised the dead. You know what I'm talking about? That right there, my friends, is where it was. Calvinism extraordinaire. And I realized that it was all bullshit. And that's where the passion comes from. That's where the flames come from. That's where the comes from. And when you realize this, and you look around at the people suffering, and you realize that they don't understand this, they don't have the capacity yet to understand because they haven't been taught, and they haven't been given that kind of compassionate explanation that I feel your fucking pain and I mean it. It's not a bullshit. We're not going to build a bridge to a new tomorrow. I'm telling you straight up, I've been there. I have been there. And I couldn't imagine being there because I had dotted my I's and I had crossed my T's. Guys, I dotted my I's and crossed my T's. I am a smart guy. And it's only because I kept getting second chance after third chance after fourth chance after fifth chance to try and make ends meet because my mom saved me from neoliberalism. My mom and dad saved me from freaking neoliberalism. Without them, I would be dead. I would have been one of the 45,000 that offed themselves from unemployment. Suicide is a very real thing, my friends. And it is an epidemic among our veterans. It's an epidemic among young kids who don't realize there's hope. It's an epidemic against the older population who is no longer viable to be employed and now sees no hope in their life and they don't have any savings and they just fucking end it. Do you understand what I'm saying here? If this the truth doesn't bother you, but my tone does, if you don't like the way I present things, I'm sorry, but I'm speaking from truth and experience, and I don't want others to suffer. And if that bothers you, I think the problem lies somewhere other than with me. I think the problem might be yours to figure out. I think the problem might be that you're an asshole, or that you haven't suffered enough. Maybe you need to suffer. Maybe you need to feel this to be able to have that kind of drift to understand the pain and suffering. If you don't get this, and I haven't even touched on the environment here, folks. I haven't even touched on the environment. Environmental racism. We take and dump our waste products where poor people live. We dump our friggin' waste in the backyards of poor people. We dump our waste all over the place, and we don't take care of the pipes, and we don't take care of the water supply, and we don't take care of their nutrition, and we allow them to suffer and die. This is unnecessary. It's unnecessary. And then when they try to resort to an alternative economic method, such as dealing drugs or any number of things, well, then they become part of our system once again, and they get put in jail. If this doesn't outrage you, but my tone does, I assure you, the problem doesn't lie with my message. And the problem doesn't lie with my tone. The problem lies between your ears and your inability to be empathetic and understand the pain and suffering of the people around the world, and in this country in particular. This message is for everyone to understand that we have a real problem in this country. And if you're triggered by the angry cis white guy that is trying desperately to enlighten you about economics, if that really offends you that much, if that's your priority to come after me, to focus on me because you got no life, because you got no life, you got no values, you got no mission, you got no nothing, you're fighting for nothing. Your every breath is a distraction to someone who's fighting for something worthy. If that is your goal, I got no time for that. I'm serious. If you knew the mountain that I'm trying to climb up, we're trying to climb up, you would understand how unbelievably sabotaging these morons and their trolling and their friggin' sidebarring and all the other idiocy that they bring forth. You would understand how destructive that is to all the people that are suffering and dying today. You would understand exactly why there is outrage. You would understand why there is like a 0% slack cut for the trolling. And for those of you out there in the MMT community that like to tone police, I have news for you. There is a political economy as well. Dr. Bill Mitchell himself has written extensively about it and has a new book coming out about it. I strongly suggest you stop critiquing my inclusion of politics and start looking at the father, one of the fathers in Bill Mitchell, who is showing a progressive manifesto for what it means to defeat neoliberalism globally. That is my guidepost. You don't like it? Take it up with Dr. Mitchell. I'm looking at this from a standpoint of how can we take a segment of society and get them moving in the right direction. Am I the be-all, end-all? Hell to the no. That would require everyone stepping up. But I can tell you for my part, I have been committed to this 7 days a week. 7 days a week committed to this. And I'm going to stay committed to it because my children need it. And if that offends, you have my permission to not watch. You have my permission to do your own thing. But if you decide that your job in this world is to critique me, what a small person you are. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Have a great day, everybody.